I have given a name to my pain. The Batman.
Always waiting for some Batman to save you.
It's simple. We kill the Batman of Gotham.
You don't really think you'll win, do you?
I'm Batman.
Hey now, welcome to episode number 18 of the Batman on Film vlog. I am the founder of Batman on Film. 20 years ago, almost, June, but 20 years. I mean, we're celebrating the 20th anniversary of Batman on Film. I am Jett Ramey, with me today.
So that was in 1998.
1998, man.
Woo.
1998. I was 32 then.
I was a senior at in college. You were 32.
It's a dude. Long
But I was also a 5-year program guy. So
well,
you're 9 years older than me.
I
That's
was
not
5-year college guy too, not nearly mainly because of dicking around. Is that I ended up with like almost 180 hours. I was kinesiology major with a minor in both history and education, so a lot of hours. But yeah, I was a 5-year man. So anyway, why are we on this tangent of college, dude?
Well, I'm wearing kind of a collegiate shirt here with a hybrid of Batman.
Yeah.
Showing a little love for Austin today since there's that crazy guy blowing people up down there. Hope they catch that dude soon. What shirt do you have there?
Celebrating our home state, my friend.
Yo. All right.
I am a Texan to the core. As
It's
are you, sir.
It's funny because we are, and then we're in a lot of ways not. But it's all about like how people stereotype Texans.
Yes.
You know, I've told the story a million times, but I'll make a quick version of it right here. When I bartended at the Saddle Ranch on Sunset Boulevard in West Hollywood, and they had a mechanical bull, and they were like, "Oh, the guy from Texas, man, he's gonna show us how to use that thing." And I look over at it, and I'm like, I've literally never seen one of those in my life until now.
But yeah, I mean, there's.
But we eat fried okra and turnip greens.
Yes, collard are better than turnip, but
Collard,
who's splitting hairs here. Anyway,
we're fixing a vlog.
Yeah, we are fixing the vlog. Yes, sir. All right. I am Jett Ramey, founder of Batman on Film, and of course with me, I don't even remember if I introduced him yet because we got off a tangent of college and fried okra and collard greens, which must be eaten with cornbread. But it's Rick Shew. Rick Shew, how are you, sir?
Actually, I'm miserable. I have a major allergies, and I'm on a Zyrtec. I'm a little loopy. I'm a little out of it. But we're gonna do this. I
know I'm sure it's the same in the DFW as it is here down in Tomball, Texas. But you walk outside and everything's colored with a yellowish green powder.
Yeah.
Because it's that time of year in Texas, and I'm with you. I take a Zyrtec every morning. In fact, year-round, because I have horrible allergies myself. Now we're on another tangent about allergies and Zyrtec.
Well, and I was also going to talk about how my wife remodeled our office here, and I'm all disoriented. So it's an upside-down day. I want to say at the very top of this, we're going to discuss my op-ed that I wrote yesterday.
Yeah.
Batman Without Gods.
Yeah.
Justin was supposed to be on the show with us. He's part of Batman on Film, so he's welcome on anytime he wants to. It's his show as well. But most importantly, he was supposed to come on because he'll have an opposing view. So I just want everybody to know that was the plan of this episode, was the three of us and have a little friendly debate. But instead, you and I are going to discuss it because we're basically on the same page.
Yeah.
And then we'll do a podcast about it with Justin.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll get Chris Clow on that one.
Yes, I have charged Rick with hosting a podcast to debate this topic. does live action Batman on film work better when he's solo, or does it work better when he's with other members of the DC universe, such as what we saw in Batman versus Superman and Justice League? And we do want to get Chris Clow on and Justin, and maybe we'll have a two-on-two team, and we'll have a very nice, probably a little spirited, but a friendly debate, because that's how we do things at Batman on Film.
That's right.
Yeah, that's how we do things. Real quick, you can follow the Batman on Film vlog, the audio, and our regular podcast via the Batman Podcast Network. Of course, you can find wherever good podcasts are found. You find the Batman on Film podcast. I do take the audio and after a vlog, and I make a podcast out of it. So on some of you, I'm sure maybe you don't watch the vlog, but you listen to it. And of course, if you like the things we do here at Batman on Film and want to support us, patreon.com/Batman on Film. Everything goes into the website. I promise. Absolutely. And thanks to all our patrons who do contribute. All right, let's get to the deal, Rick. You wrote an article yesterday, which I agree with, and so I can't provide an opposing view, but I think let's try to bring up and play some devil's advocate to our with ourselves and as well, to try to give a little bit of the opposing view. What was the describe the message you were writing? Because I think, Rick, looking at some of the reactions to it on Discuss and on Facebook and even on Twitter, some people, I don't think, got completely what you were saying in that op-ed. So explain, sir.
And let me say this at the very top. Obviously, this is just my opinion, right? It's also your opinion. It's our preference. So there's no right or wrong here. And if you disagree with me, that's cool. We're gonna discuss it online and have a podcast here soon, and that'll be a spirited, fun little debate. So with that said, basically, here's the bottom line for me. I find Batman, particularly in live action, okay, far less interesting and intriguing when he is amongst gods. And I break down certain scenes and certain films as well to sort of put it all in context. I'm not the biggest fan of Batman v Superman, but I don't hate the movie, and there's some really cool stuff. And the coolest scene, I think, is the warehouse scene. I mean, that whole sequence is so well done, and it's just... it's sheer bad.
You know what? I'll say it's the best Batman fight scene in any live-action Batman film.
Absolutely.
I will give it that. Yes.
It's ferocious. I love it. But even that scene that I love, and that's why it's important that I choose that scene, because it's not a scene that I dislike. But when you think about why Batman is even there in the first place, it makes absolutely no sense. The scene right before it, he's standing with Superman. Now, I'm not going to get into what I think was a bad setup in terms of the Martha and all that stuff. I'm talking just strictly, let's just say Batman and Superman have been friends the whole movie, and that trust factor was there for Superman to send him off to save his mom. Even if that was the case, why would Superman send a mortal human being to go save his mother from certain death when he could just go do it? I know for the purposes of the story, they forced it so they could divide and conquer. I get that. But if you just think about it for a moment, absolutely a ridiculous premise. There's no way that Superman would do that. He would fly and save his mom. He could do it, get it done, and go do else what he was going to go do. And that's the problem with Batman. When you put him in that world and you put him on screen with gods that can do all these marvelous things, he's rendered basically useless. Now, yeah, he can still be a detective and he can solve things and help find people or whatever. And
the tactician, I hear a lot.
Yeah, right. And that's fine. But I think he's just he's such a complex and interesting character. My favorite fictional character of all time. And he works so well when he isn't living in a world where he's surrounded by people with superhuman powers and gods, because he's just a man. Just a man. No superpowers, no mutant spider bit him and he can, climb buildings and shoot webs out of his hand. He's just a man. And when you put just a man and on film surrounded by gods, then suddenly he just kind of stands there. Think about like in BVS also when Doomsday showed up. He couldn't contribute to that. He couldn't do anything. Or when Superman was resurrected in Justice League and came back, spoiler, in that film, he was rendered useless. I mean, literally did nothing. There was nothing for him to do at that point, except at the end, I guess, apparently turn Wayne Manor into
Hall of Justice.
Hall of Justice, and right. But that's my problem with it, is that once you do that, where's the intrigue? What's his purpose? What does he do? And it just doesn't work for me.
I'm with you, and just to play devil's advocate, to try to bring up the opposing side, and we can discuss the argument I hear a lot is it works in animation. Look at the Justice League animated series, how awesome it was. Look at some of the great comic book stories, the Justice League comic book stories, you know, whoever was writing. Grant Morrison comes up a lot. Yes, there's some great Batman Justice League stories that have been on TV, and you know, particularly the Bruce Timm Justice League series and Justice League Unlimited. You know, some of these PG-13 movies have been really good. Some of them I really liked a lot. You know, their animation. A lot of there's some classic Justice League comic book stories. You know, I think about the one Batman, the Tower of Babel. There it comes.
Okay.
Where Batman essentially has all this information on each of the Justice League members and how he would take them out if one of them went rogue, and then they kind of turn on him. That that whole story. I mean, it's good stuff.
Right.
And so the argument is, well, it can work on film. Look what they do in comics. Look what they do. Bring the comic book guys in. Bring the animation guys in. Let them do this stuff. Here, it's.
But even that premise is interesting, because he's looking to what he could do to get rid of them if he had to.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's not like it's right.
And so, but my argument, and I'll let you speak to it, is yes, that's animation, and that's comic books, and those two mediums are directed, or they focus on a completely different audience than a live action major motion picture like Justice League and like The Dark Knight. So your thoughts on that?
Right. So here's the thing. One of the things I said, and it was a little controversial, and I know it kind of ruffled some feathers, is that just because it works in animation or in comics, it doesn't mean it's going to translate to live action. And people are like, well, what is that supposed to mean? I'm like, well, it means what it means. It can work in a cartoon. But for me, once it's live action, you want to believe that it's real, right? I mean, it's like this. The reality that we accept, like we can accept a world where a guy dresses up like a bat and he's chasing a maniac clown, and that's obviously unrealistic. He would survive about 3 days in real life, if that. If that. But once you accept that, you're still putting it in the confines of a reality. And I don't mean like the Nolan films, okay? And that's another thing I'm getting a lot of kickback on. I'm like, look, I love the Nolan films. It's a perfect Bruce Wayne story. But that story's been told and it's done. And it is time to move on from it because it's over, right?
Yes.
Had to defend.
I want something. New with Matt Reeves completely.
Something new, and
aesthetically, and the whole everything.
And you can make it more fantastical.
Yeah.
You can have Bane 9 feet tall. You can have Freeze and who was strange. There's all sorts of things that you could do that Nolan never would have touched. Hell, he wouldn't even touch the Penguin. But
I don't understand. That's a different topic.
Yeah, I know. I wish he would have.
He could have put Penguin in the Dark Knight and made him one of the mob bosses, but that's a whole different topic there. But whole
different topic, right? But kind of lost my train of thought. Sorry, these meds are killing me. But my point is that it doesn't have to be Nolan, right? But once you But when Batman is on film, and again, I'm beating a dead horse here, and Superman's flying around, and the Flash is running by, and Wonder Woman with her superhuman powers, and Aquaman swimming underwater and doing all kinds of awesome things, and then he's just a mortal guy standing there going, "Yeah, but I've got a cool car."
Yeah.
You know, I mean that line in the line in Justice League is funny. It's like, so, you know, what are your superpowers again? He's like, I'm rich.
Yeah.
And that's funny, and that's kind of a Tony Stark thing, right? But there's also there's a big difference here, is that I don't judge Marvel and DC the same. Marvel is, aside from Spider-Man, who's my probably third favorite comic book character of all time.
Yeah. Me too.
Yeah. Aside from Spider-Man, Marvel to me is just popcorn fun. Okay. But also,
historically, right? Marvel was created as one universe that
always
centered in New York City. You know,
but even the Tony Stark argument, it's like, yeah, but he's also in a suit that does superpower things. That he's flying, and he's not. That's not Batman's MO, man. He's in a cape. He can glide, right? He's just a man. So make the films. As far as live action goes, make the film. What I hope Matt Reeves does is, I want it to be a reboot. I don't want to have anything to do with continuity. I don't know at this point if that's going to happen. I have no idea. I don't know. I don't know. 6 months ago, I would have said definitively there's no freaking way that he's going to tie into this universe. But who the hell knows? He may very well. And what's going on with who he's casting as Batman remains to be seen also. Yeah. But if I had it my way, he would reboot the whole franchise, reboot Batman, and have him in his own world, just like Nolan, and by the way, just like Tim Burton did. Okay, so it's not just Nolan. Batman 89 also worked, and Batman 89 wouldn't have worked. That whole thing about the criminals being, they're hearing about, this guy's dressed like a giant bat, and oh man, I'm scared of him. On the rooftop after they, American Express, never leave home without it. Remember that scene, right? Yeah. Imagine that scene if Superman was flying around. Would those criminals be as scared of Batman? No. It wouldn't be as interesting. He wouldn't be as interesting. Ryan Haas and I were talking on the phone yesterday. He brought this point up. It was great. He said, the problem is that once you introduce gods around Batman in a film, suddenly how he is perceived by criminals is also diminished, because they're going to be a lot less scared of him. And much more scared about. Well,
it goes back, Rick. It goes back to the whole thing about, it works in the comics, it works in animation. But here's the point of that. Okay, it's not just that. Oh, it looks silly. I mean, there was some stuff. Look, there's some shit in Justice League that Batman looked flat silly at times. I've said
and BVS.
Yes, but way more so in Justice League. That. And it's not just that we're inserting our preference and saying, well, Batman looks stupid alongside these superpowered beings. Well, he kind of does at times, and I don't see how. I think that's irrefutable. I don't care how you feel about Justice League or BVS, especially Justice League. There are times when Batman in that film and Justice League becomes a joke at times. He is the punchline. Something's definitely bleeding. Stuff like that. It's just that smile on his face, and I'm not going to get in that. But here's the thing. Here's
right.
The thing.
That's the problems with that movie, and they don't have to do that.
The audience for live action major motion pictures is 90% plus your average regular Joe and Josephine moviegoer who does not read comics, who does not watch animated films or has watched animated TV series. Look, hell, I grew up in the 70s, and this week we cleaned out my garage, and I found box of stuff that it actually was when my mom died. It was stuff from my childhood home that I brought home, and it was in a tote, and I kind of just forgot about it. I didn't want to fool with it for a while after my mom died, and then I just kind of, it's been 8 years. But so I went through it, and I found just like an S-load of my childhood comics that I forgot about, and I got a bunch of Justice League comics, early to mid-70s. I have Superman. I have Wonder Woman. I have The Flash. I've got Metal Men. So I read all that stuff. I know I know Batman can look cool when you read a comic book when he's in the Justice League, and I understand that in animation, but on film it's a completely comic book fans, comic book readers accept that stuff. They accept it. So yes, they want to see it on film too, just because they want to see it in another medium, a live action medium. But when your audience, when your motion picture audience, your movie audience is my wife, basically, and your wife, and our friends who pay no attention, our male friends who pay no attention to that stuff, you're coming from a completely different point of view. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, every one of my friends that are the ilk that you're referring to, that love comic book movies, they've never read a comic book, ever. Like literally,
No.
they don't read it. They don't follow continuity really. They get confused. They go see BVS. They still think it's part of the Nolan films. They're like texting me going,
"Hey man,
they don't even follow the drama." There are people who think the Ben Affleck Batman is still like the same Batman that Michael Keaton played almost 30 years ago. They don't get the continuity and all, all that and that's 90% of the people that go see it. Yes,
it is.
And we live in this bubble sometimes of Twitter, Facebook, what have you, and we have these real loud voices and with our opinions. But man, it is such a small percentage of people that go see these films. So small. I don't care if we're talking Star Wars, we're talking Batman, we're talking Star Trek, whatever. The online fandom that's not what drives these films.
I've said it before. It's and I'm not being vulgar, but to use like a text, since we're being all Texas today, it's a piss in the ocean. It's a piss
in the ocean. Now listen, we are that type of fandom because it includes you and I.
Yes.
We are a very important part of that fandom for films because it's not. We go see it multiple times. We support it. We help the enthusiasm. We share things on social media, and the studio's aware of that. That's why they will cater to that faction of fandom, and rightfully so. They should.
Yes.
You know what? You grew up reading comics and buying comics and supporting Batman and supporting DC and supporting the Warner Brothers incarnations of film since the late 80s. You're damn right. You deserve to be catered to a little bit. But here's the thing, is that's all fine and good, but look, so far it hasn't worked. If you like BVS or Injustice League, more power to you. That's great. But just in terms of box office and just in terms of enthusiasm, it hasn't worked. Otherwise, things would be very different. We wouldn't have got the Justice League that we got if it wasn't for BVS. And Justice League obviously was not very well received. Right. But I recognize that it's not, because people say, but some people will just defend those films, and that's fine. Other people will say, yeah, Rick, but those films didn't work. I actually agree with you, but that doesn't mean that Batman and Superman can't work on film together. I say that's a fair point if I'm just focusing on those movies. And here's my issue, is that it's not just those films. Again, I picked apart scenes that I actually really like in those movies too, and if you think about it, those scenes still don't really work if you even start to peel back that onion a little bit. But to me, it's an unfixable problem. There's no writer or director or a supporting cast that can supersede, for me personally, Batman being just less cool when he is around gods.
Okay,
period.
I'm with you. I think, and look, this is where I'm coming from, audience people who probably are. There's some who are wanting to march to Texas and hunt down me and Rick like we're the Frankenstein monster with pitchforks and torches. But I respect and get your desire to see this, to see you love the DC universe, and you maybe you want to see it on film, and then you have the what Marvel's doing, and you go, well, Marvel does it, and blah blah blah, and I get it, but I'm coming from a point of what taking me out of it almost, even though it's my preference. What is best, not only for Batman on film, but that's number one. But I think these characters work better in their own anyway. I mean, look at Wonder Woman. Yeah, you had the two bookends, but that was a Wonder Woman movie, That's what I'm advocating. Just make good DC films, and don't. Do we really have to have it in a shared universe? Does it make it? That's my question. Answer that for me. Not Rick. You can play devil's advocate, or someone will. I'm sure will tweet us or post on Facebook. If Matt Reeves' Batman film is its own thing, will you enjoy it less because it's not part of the DC greater universe on film? I mean, do you have to watch it and go, out there somewhere is Superman flying around, somewhere Wonder Woman's doing this. To me, just make the movie and let it be good to great. And
that's these are almost in a weird way. It's kind of hard to decipher this verbally, but these are almost two different topics. It's like, should there be a shared universe, period, at all? And that goes for Superman, Wonder Woman, that goes for everybody, right? I'm talking specifically about Batman because of who he is as a character.
I think Batman works best when he is on his own in his own world.
Hey, we're living
live action film. Yes,
we're living in a unique time where you can have characters that coexist. That was unheard of 20 years ago. You would never.
I raised holy hell when Warner Brothers tried to make Justice League Mortal while Chris Nolan was putting together The Dark Knight. I thought it was ridiculous, but my opinion of that has changed now. I think you see this with the.
Hold on. I can still hear you. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. I was grabbing something.
I completely lost my train of thought.
You were talking about
Justice League Mortal. Yeah. But now you see them. Warner Brothers want to do these non-canonical films that aren't in continuity, so the filmmakers can just do their own thing. Even in comics now, DC is announced as DC Black Label, where it's basically the same thing. There, you have Frank Miller writing Superman Year One, and it has nothing to do with what's going on in Superman comics proper and action and so forth.
But yeah, and we're living in a unique time, Bill, where you can have characters that coexist. Yes. This is what I was reaching for.
And I've changed my opinion on that over the years. Yes,
I want to show this. So look at this. This is in 1998. We're talking about the 90s. It's the superhero stunt show. That's yours truly. There's Superman and Batman, Wonder Woman, Green Lantern, and everything. Okay, cool, right? So here's a funny story about that. While we were doing that show in 97, 98, Lois and Clark was airing on was that ABC? Right?
Yep.
ABC, right. I had very strict rules, and it was all in contract paperwork and everything, about Dean Cain being the representation, the face of Superman. I was not even allowed to do a meet and greet with kids while all the other superheroes were taking pictures and shaking hands because I didn't have a mask, and I was. You
were not Dean Cain.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember the legal jargon in it, but essentially, I'm not Dean Cain, and you're not really Superman.
Yeah,
that was 20 years ago. It was the same year you created Batman on film.
Yeah.
Today, you can have Superman on Supergirl. You can have Henry Cavill Superman. You can have Jared Leto's Joker, and apparently another Joker, and a spin-off film that Scorsese is producing has nothing to do with the DCU. Or what do we want to call it now? Ladkoff.
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 DC on film. Yes.
There you go. Ladkoff. So you can have that. So here's my point. I just walked around the street walked around the block to cross the street. That's okay. My point is this. You want Batman in an extended universe and everything? Cool. Do it. Have the Affleck Batman, whoever that is, if it's Affleck or whoever replaces him, have him in Suicide Squad 2. Have him in Wonder Woman 2 if there's a cameo so desired. I don't care. Let Matt Reeves' standalone film be just that. Be its own thing. Okay? And maybe it ties into the Scorsese thing. I doubt it. But, we're just at a unique point where you could actually get away with that. You couldn't do that 20 years ago.
Just let it be its own damn thing.
We have two live action. 2 live action Supermans. We have 2 live action Flash. We have who else? That's just currently.
Yeah.
We're about to have 2 Jokers because I'm assuming Jared Leto's coming back for Suicide Squad 2, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So run with it. Have both.
Look, bottom line is, this is our opinion. We want what's best. We want what's best for Batman on film. That's the thing. What is best for Batman on film? I know some of y'all have different opinion. Please go down. If you're watching this on YouTube, comment. Go to this. If you're watching this on BOF proper, go to discuss and comment, and let's have a good discussion about it. You know, we don't have to call people names and talk about sucking on Nolan's teats and all this other nonsense we read online. Let's have a civil discussion, and like we said, Rick is going to host a Batman on Film podcast very soon. We're gonna make it happen quickly, and we're going to get a completely opposing side, Justin and Chris Clow, and we'll discuss. You know, maybe they can alter our minds a little bit. Maybe we can alter their minds a little bit. You know, and there's
at the end of
go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, look, man. At the end of the day, Matt Reeves is whatever happens with that film is going to happen. I have no idea. You know, if Matt Reeves, we talked about this. If he bails, that'll be very tough.
Right now, I am just at the point, or I hope that he makes this movie. That's where I'm at.
Make the movie,
dude. Make this movie,
and just make a Batman story.
Don't walk away,
that
please.
Strikes fear in the heart of criminals. That is a mortal man. They can die just like you and I can. They can age just like you and I aged.
Yeah,
and that fights for justice because you and I can't.
Hey, look,
that's what I wrote.
Hey, look, right now I am geeking out. I'm super excited for Shazam, and if you've been watching these vlogs or reading, you know that I am a Captain Marvel fan from when I was a little boy. I loved that 70s TV show. In fact, I found one of my Captain Marvel Shazam comics back in that box of stuff I was talking about. I'm excited for Aquaman. I'm excited for Wonder Woman 2. Look, from where I'm at, make as many good DC films, Warner Brothers, as you can. You got to be good, and don't worry about all the other stuff. Don't worry about tying all this in. You've said that you were going to do this. That's what's the thing, you know. In the Vulture article, we're going to be less focused on the shared universe and filmmaker-driven, strong filmmakers. We'll follow through with that. And that's really all I got. But I'm sure we'll discuss more about this on Batman on Film wherever in the future, because it's just something that's not going to go away, and people are very passionate about it, and I get it and I respect it. So, Rick, any final thoughts before we do plugs here?
Juxtapose the Joker Batman interrogation scene with Batman wrestling a parademon in Justice League, and then let's talk.
Okay.
All right. How's that?
Okay.
Then let's have a conversation about where Batman should go on film. Follow me on Twitter, ShewRick, ShewRack. We will be doing a podcast soon on this very topic, so we can have a debate about it. Because obviously, you and I just agree. Again, this show was a little different than what was originally planned because Justin was supposed to be on. So we're gonna take care of all that in a podcast. Also, we'll be doing a Star Wars podcast pretty soon on the deleted scenes of the Blu-ray of The Last Jedi. So that'll be cool.
Just to show you how malleable I am, and open-minded, I guess, is a better word to use, to different incarnations of Batman. I got this from the fine folks at Warner Brothers Home Entertainment. This is the Flash, Lego Flash, with Lego Blue Batman and Lego Wonder Woman and Superman and, of course, Reverse Flash. I'm going to watch this and probably do a little review on it. And that's because I like this kind of stuff. See, Lego Batman is one of my favorite Batman films. I love it. Has everybody in it. It's awesome.
Yes. The stuff with Superman is awesome.
Yes. Lego Batman is awesome.
I love Superman and Batman hanging out together in the right medium when it
medium.
works. I do.
I do. The right
Yes.
medium.
The right. I've got a whole stack of comics here. Like in my office is a mess. I was looking through. I've got the Dark Knight Returns right there, but I'm using it as something to hold up my phone. But I mean, you know, when I look through comic books and I think about, where's a good one here? So it's the Nightfall run, right?
Yeah.
And anyway, I've been getting caught up on some reading and what have you, and I start to think certain scenes or certain moments in a particular issue that I really love, and kind of gearing up for this op-ed, I thought, would that scene work in live action, and how would they do that? How would they adapt a particular scene? And oftentimes I'm like, you know what? I don't think it would. Just keep it on the page. And that's what I mean by things not translating from comics to film. Sometimes it needs to just stay there, because once you transfer it over, it doesn't just, it's not a seamless transition. And that's my point, is that not everything that's written or in comics translates to film. It just doesn't, especially when you're talking about men and women in tights and capes.
Yep. All right.
That's it.
All right. Your Twitter again. I know you said it, but we went on a little bit more of a rant. But follow Rick where? Go ahead, Rick, on Twitter.
Shoe Rick.
Anything else you want to plug?
No, I'm afraid if I say something else, I'm going to go off on another tangent. So
Okay.
I'll just end it there.
All right. Follow me on Twitter at Batman on Film. And with that said, Batman on Film, authoritative, definitive,
And the dadgum original.
We'll catch you next time.